to say that it's gone badly for the Tories so far is, to put it mildly, I think him standing like a drowned rat in front of Downing Street as Steve Bray blasts the 1997
Fucking
winning anthem for the Labour Party over him, literally louder, so you can't understand what the Prime Minister is saying. That might be the highlight. That might be the peak of the Tories' performance in this election. It's only
going to get worse.
Yeah.
Like the discourse around their like national service push has been so comical. It's been so comical because
it's such a stupid. It's nothing. It's going to be mandatory, but you're not going to get arrested. It's not mandatory then, is it?
Well, they literally use the phrase compulsory volunteering. And I'm like, that is a contradiction in terms, I think you'll find.
They don't know what words mean. Don't. It's not compulsory. It's just not. If I don't turn up, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Okay, then.
Apparently there was a thing going around Twitter, I don't know if it's real, saying that parents might get fined for it if their kids don't turn up, but they're adults. They're 18-year-olds.
They're 18-year-olds. What the fuck? What? So now you're just like lifelong dependency on the parent then, or whatever.
I think this is how people in politics think of 18-year-olds.
They're rushing around desperately. It's embarrassing.
They think that all young people are just still tethered to their parents because, of course, people like Rishi Sunak were just kind of suckling on the teat of their parents' riches and wealth well into adulthood, and they think that's the real life for everybody else. And on top of that, if the only penalty is a fine, that means it's legal for rich people. So now we know, right? So what happens, it means, is that all of the wealthy upper class rich kids, who are the ones who genuinely need to be doing community service to understand that society is a thing that exists, that responds well to people putting in the hours outside of what they deem to be financially viable, those are the ones who are just going to have parents rich enough to bail them out and pay for them not to have to do it.
So, I mean, it's just, everything about this is just bad and stupid. He's had a couple of delightful gaffes, old Rashid, with going to Wales and asking them whether they were looking forward to the football, which they haven't qualified for. So that went well. The one part of Great Britain that line doesn't work. Rishi, well done, bravo. He went to Belfast to the Titanic docks because apparently the sinking, headline writers don't need your charity, Rishi. You don't need to give them sinking ship lines, mate. Come on, they're trying to lose. They are actually trying to lose. I'm convinced of it. No one can be this incompetent. They can't. I refuse to believe it.
But the thing is, I think that it's clear to me from what we've heard of the rhetoric so far. Like, they've just put out campaign adverts recently where they've got like threat level posters for the national security risks of all of the Labour ministers that people could potentially voting into power. It's clearly the line that they're going with is that Labour can't be trusted to keep society safe in a scary world, which is of course incredibly fascistic to say that everybody who disagrees with this is national security, you must agree with us or all of your kids are going to die. That kind of scaremongering, it's genuinely kind of rancid authoritarian politics. But I think everyone knows it's clear. I think usually with the when the Tories of yesteryear were a kind of well-oiled campaigning machine, they are of course the most successful political party on the face of the earth. People would genuinely take stuff like this seriously, especially if it was done well. But now everybody knows that the Tories are a gigantic train wreck because the wheels have well and truly fallen off in like a post-Johnson world. Nobody takes it seriously. Everything they do looks stupid. All of it is understandably marketed to the public as being incredibly insincere. It's all being framed by the media, especially, who would usually be very kind of Tory-centric, as being talked about for being the flagrant electioneering that it is, right? Although you don't believe that young people would get a benefit from national service. You don't actually believe that. But what you do know is that a bunch of boomers in your voter base think that the young'uns need a good kick up the backside to get them back to life, right?
They are campaigning in the same way that they've governed, in that they want just one day of good Daily Mail headlines. That's all they're hoping for, is tomorrow's Daily Mail headline won't be terrible for them. That's all they're doing, is just trying to get from day to day, just continue to exist. It was the same before, and they just pump out some shit and hope to get a good headline somewhere. And this is so perfectly designed just for a very select group of boomers who read the Daily Mail. That's all this policy is for.
The curtain switches.
the only people that this is for. And those people, Rishi, they're voting for fucking reform, you prick. You've lost them. It's over. It's over, mate.
The thing is, of these people now all think that Rishi Sunak is an agent of the World Economic Forum. Like a bunch of the brain broken boomers who are usually kind of Tory voters, they genuinely believe that the Tories have been taken over by the Schwab cabal trying to make them eat the bugs. Like, that is the kind of world a bunch of these people inhabit, and they're all moved up to Reform UK, the conspiracy theory party, who are clearly playing to the crowd in a way that the Tories just don't know how to do. Like, it's going to be an absolute cavalcade of hilarity watching the Tories absolutely fun. Someone just today on Bumble messaged me saying, well, what's your general election prediction? They'd seen that I talk about politics in my Bumble bio, and they were like, what's your prediction for the election? Well, I said 100-seat Labour majority, and I was like, but depending on how the campaign goes, probably going to be bigger than that. And given what we've seen so far, almost certainly going to be bigger than that, because Sunak's terrible. I was mentioning this to Ross, the guy who went on holiday. I say on holiday. It was a trip to play Magic, I guess. But even so, it felt like a holiday. I was talking to him about this when this trip, that clip of Rishi Sunak asking the homeless guy if he owned a business was going viral.
Yeah.
And because not only is Rishi Sunak massively out of touch because of his gigantic wealth, not only are all his policies shit, not only are the Tories hated, not only he himself is just like genuinely really unlikable. In every interview, he's combative.
This entire campaign will just be Rishi Sunak flying by private jet to stand uncomfortably in various places across the country.
And then
that's all this will be.
And get interviewed by people where he'll act affronted at the idea that his authority is ever being challenged because he spent his entire life getting his own way at private school and shuffling numbers around at Goldman Sachs. But on top of all of this, right, I wouldn't forgive all of this, but I could theoretically forgive all of this if he wasn't so fucking terrible at politics as well. Not only is every single facet, every single possible part of his personality deeply reprehensible, everything that he believes, everything that he says, his actions, his mannerisms, his general demeanour. On top of that, he just fails miserably at turning any of what little kind of potential political sway he would have on people. He just cannot leverage it whatsoever. He always says and does the thing that would most make people never want to vote for him in his party ever. And quite frankly, good. I'm glad that the Tories are going to get absolutely annihilated, and then 5 minutes later I'll realise what they're being replaced with.
Yeah, but let's just enjoy it's like, you're going to be hungover, but let's just enjoy getting wrecked. Fuck it.
True.
Just enjoy the drink. Anyway, just today, just to take you through a few of just collapsing bricks of the Tory building existence.
At this point, it's barely even a building. It's more like it's more like the Associated Press Tower block in Gaza. Topical.
Bro, yes. By the way, did you see? We'll get to it when we get to Starmer. The president of the Birmingham Young Conservatives, he resigned and joined the Liberal Democrats. Right.
Harvey Whitby, right? Okay, there you go.
It's quite funny. Policies such as the rushed reintroduction of national service without any clear plan or consideration of its impact on the youth vote, in particularly concerning. I fear these missteps won't just lose us the coming election, but will have us locked out of government for a generation or more. Right, so he's resigned. Now, that in of itself isn't the end of the world, although it is quite funny. That was just the start of the day. That was 10 p.m.
Also, let's analyze this for a bit. The first part about this as well is that I love that his reasoning for leaving the Conservative Party wasn't necessarily that they're a party that's kind of democided huge swathes of the UK population deliberately, and on top of that is just full of the most kind of rancid humans you'd ever hope to meet in your life. You wouldn't want to shake hands with them in case it was catching just how massively awful all these people are. It's well, actually, because we've bungled this policy announcement, we're not going to actually potentially be in power, so I'm going to join a party that's going to have more seats. So it's not even necessarily a moral position that's been taken here. It's one of it's one of access to political power. It shows you the kind of people who join the Conservatives, and also on top of that, kind of people who join the Liberal Democrats. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm surprised that Starmer didn't poach him. And not just that, they're going to win potentially other seats in the West Midlands as well, because the seat of where are we? Telford, formerly represented, or I suppose still technically represented, by Lucy Allen MP, who's standing down at this election, but has also been suspended from the Conservative Party for backing the Reform UK candidate
to take her seat.
I mean, well, of course, if you've joined the Conservative Party, expecting conservative politics and wanting to see a bunch of things that were in the 2019 manifesto, and none of these things have happened, Rishi Sunak's U-turned all of these with kind of zero electoral mandate to do so. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that no more Tories have started actively shilling for a full UK at this point.
Yes. But that's so. How galling would it be to be the Tory candidate in that area and have your predecessor campaigning for fucking Reform UK work? And not just that, this guarantees that they're going to split the vote and it's going to go to the Labour Party.
Almost certainly. I mean, there's so many seats that this is happening. Like, I was looking at the MRP stats. The safest Tory seat, not that any of these things exist anymore, because they don't. There are no safe seats. According to MRP poll, the safest, quote-unquote, seat is Old Bexley and Sidcup, and the Tories are projected a vote share as 41% in their safest seat.
Oh, my God.
That's only 10 points ahead of the projected Labour vote in that seat specifically. It's going to be a massacre.
That's the safest seat in the country.
Yep.
Oh my God, they're going to get wiped out. Oh, because it's just getting worse and worse. Right. So that happened. And you're thinking, okay, that's just one seat though, right? Maybe it's not the end of the world. It's not like, say, Tory party put out an email slagging off basically all of their candidates in the entire fucking country by accident and sent it out to everybody, right? Surely not. That would be insane. That would be insane if that had happened. Oh my God, it did fucking happen.
Yeah, foreshadowing is a literary device in which
leaked email hits out Tory MPs for poor start to election campaign. Now, that in of itself, that headline does not do justice to what this is, okay? Internal memo describing the campaign in various key seats wasn't meant to be made public. Not only was it made public, it was sent to the MPs themselves, basically calling them all a big fucking bunch of cunts. It's so good. It's so good. Conservative staff accused MPs of focusing too much on ministerial business in a document emailed to the party. So again,
how dare they do their jobs as ministers?
Crazy, right?
Governance? What's that?
Yeah, the message had two attachments. One was a constituency breakdown with what appeared to be sanitized comments, while the other had unfiltered thoughts of Conservative staff. The email was later recalled, but the key theme identified was that candidates had failed to, quote, get behind the campaign with some on holiday or refusing to knock on doors. In one case, the memo even disclosed personal health information about a candidate's spouse.
As you do.
Which then becomes a data privacy breach and potentially opens them up to legal litigation. Brilliant.
It is interesting seeing, obviously we've got our perspective of the Labour Party, something that we're close to, and seeing, kind of dysfunctional kind of, a slightly kind of sour atmosphere. And how apparently it's 10 times worse in the Tory party. They're all either fucking each other or stabbing each other in the back.
Well, literally, I mean, look, to give you some indication, the total number of Tories that refused to stand and gave up their seats leading into the 1997 campaign was 72. It's now, I think, 84
at
already.
Time of recording.
At time of recording, and there are still like 180 seats they haven't filled yet.
And apparently, none of those are going to be for Sebastian Payne, though, which is even.
Oh no! Oh, that's so good. Mason and Payne have been fucked by both parties. Yes. Fuck yes.
It's so good. It's good. It's exhilarating to watch. Speaking of Tory MPs going on holiday, did you see Steve Baker decided to go on holiday rather than campaign?
Yeah.
And High Wycombe was like a proper, used to be a very Tory seat. Yeah. Although the demographics have changed some over the last 15 years or so. So it's very funny that he's just given up. So many of them have just given up.
Well, literally, we'll hang on, we'll get into it. Speaking to the Times, one MP accused CCHQ of ranking competence in sending out the comments, while another added, quote, great way to start a campaign. Piss everyone in a marginal seat off in the first week. The memo singled out constituencies believed to be part of the 80-20 campaign, which is where they put loads of money in on a specific week in an individual campaign. So basically, it's the week where you're supposed to just, blitz the fucking whole place. You put loads of money into it, into a key marginal constituency. Very important. To pile resources into 80 most marginal seats and the top 20 believed it could gain. In several cases, a lack of funding was raised as an issue in Bury North, the seat held by Deputy Chair James Daly. it was said that the low funds, circa £2,000, met with donors, but so far no donation.
I'm surprised anybody will be door knocking for them. Imagine what it must feel like. I mean, I think it's very funny. I don't have any sympathy because they deserve every single piece of shit that's flying at them, metaphorically speaking. But it must be very miserable and demoralizing to knock on doors knowing that you're defending the absolute fucking shit show of the past 14 years.
In Cheadle, Greater Manchester, where Mary Robinson is MP, it was said that the candidate was away for 7 days on holiday. There's an election happening and you want people to vote for you, but you just went, fuck it, I'm going on holiday. Fuck you.
I mean, especially if your seat, that you're not going to win. Like, every single seat that's, potentially safe, they're all gone. Yeah. So, what you should be doing here, because the idea that they're going to try and campaign for marginal seats here is really, it's optimistic, let's put it that way. But at this point, they should be campaigning in all of their safest seats just so that they have something, so they have enough MPs for a leadership election.
Yeah, honestly, it's going to end up like the Lib Dems, where they had so few MPs that they all had to have 2 shadow jobs. So you're shadow education and shadow home secretary or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
They were down to 10 MPs. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 10 in 2015, wasn't it? The Clegsidus. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.